प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, would you like to hear about Guṇḍicā Mārjanam, which happens just before Rath Yatra, or would you like to hear some childhood pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip? Let's pick one. Yes. Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. Even Parampara Prabhu also said Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. So we will do Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. As you all know, coming Sunday, we are celebrating Sri Jagannath Rath Yatra. And Sunday is Dahi Chida festival, the Pani Hati festival. Srila Prabhupada has named Atlanta, Georgia as New Pani Hati Dham, because the Pani Hati festival took place in a place in Navadvip called Pani Hati. And Srila Prabhupada named this New Pani Hati. So that festival will be observed on Sunday. Saturday is Rath Yatra. The day before Rath Yatra is called Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. So let us talk about Guṇḍicā Mārjanam today. It's a very significant festival for all of us. For all sadhakas, it is very significant. And Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has described it in great detail in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And our beloved founder Acharya, Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajaka Ashtottar Shata Shri Srimad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada has written very beautiful purports and lessons that we can learn from this pastime. So this pastime occurs in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 12, entitled The Cleaning of the Guṇḍicā Temple. And we will read a few verses starting from verse number 72. Verse number 72 of the 12th chapter of Madhya Leela. So the context, my dear friends, is very significant here. Jagannath Puri Dham, Purushottam Kshetra Jagannath Puri Dham, very auspicious Dham. And there, Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra, who are not giving us darshan right now, because after Snan Yatra, they have caught a cold. They have caught a cold. Many devotees also are catching cold nowadays. So Jagannath also is giving us company. He's also fallen sick. And he will, after feeling separation from the devotees for 15 days, not meeting any devotees, not seeing any Sankirtan, Jagannath is really going to come out on Rath Yatra. He's going to give darshan not only to the devotees, but he's going to go on the streets and give darshan to one and all. But before Jagannath goes out on Rath Yatra, Guṇḍicā Mārjanam happens. So there is a Jagannath temple and there is a Guṇḍicā temple. Jagannath temple in Jagannath Puri represents Dwarka. Worshipping Krishna is of two types. Out of awe and reverence, Aishwarya, and with intimacy and sweetness, Madhurya. Dwarka and Mathura is Aishwarya Dham. There is awe, respect. Everybody knows Krishna is Bhagwan. Krishna stu Bhagwan Swayam. So they respect Krishna, they honor him. They go to Krishna for protection. They go to Krishna for all the problems. They expect Krishna will fight and protect the fort of Mathura and Dwarka. But in Vrindavan, there is so much condensed love that the Vrajvasis, they forget that Krishna is God. It's not that they don't know, but their love has evolved into such intimacy. There is so much intimacy, so much sweetness, madhurya, that they forget that Krishna is Bhagwan. And they consider Krishna to be one of them. That is Vrindavan Dham. It is called Madhurya Dham. Dwarka is called Aishwarya Dham. Awe and reverence and sweetness. Jagannath is living in the Jagannath Puri temple, which is Dwarka. So awe and reverence. But Krishna is feeling separation from his Vrindavan. There is no place like Vrindavan. Aradhya Bhagwana Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavan. The topmost abode is Vrindavan. And Krishna is feeling separation from Vrindavan. So, Rath Yatra means to place Jagannath, who is Dwarkadhish Krishna, on the Rath and to pull him to Vrindavan. So, if Jagannath Puri temple is Dwarka, what is Guṇḍicā temple? Vrindavan. Guṇḍicā temple is Vrindavan. So, Krishna, Jagannath is going to come to Vrindavan, Guṇḍicā temple. So, what should we do as Brajvasis? Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching Vraj Bhakti. So what are we supposed to do if Krishna is coming? Get ready, right? How do we get ready? When a guest comes, how do we prepare the house? Yes, we clean the house. We make sure everything is good. Everything is in place. I remember once a guest was visiting our house. Very important guest, very senior devotee. And I was busy working in the hospital, but my wife had taken off. And somehow it so happened that I arrived a little later after the guest. The guest first arrived and then I came from the hospital later. When I came, I could not recognize my own house. It was so clean. Everything was, I asked, is this our house? My wife said, shh, don't say like that. So when an important guest comes, we clean the house. We make sure everything is ready. So that is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to do. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, although he is Krishna, his Supreme Lord, but he has come as a devotee to teach us what is bhakti. So as we read, please know that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the mood of devotee. Specifically, he is in the mood of Radharani, who is the best Brajvasi. So let's read. So Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is living in Jagannath Puri and the time for Rath Yatra has arrived. Verse 72. Prathame Kashi Mishre Prabhu Bolaila Padicha Patra Sarva Bhaume Bolaiya Anila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first of all called Kashi Mishra. Who is Kashi Mishra? Can someone tell whose incarnation is Kashi Mishra? In Krishna Lila, who is Kashi Mishra? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is living in whose house? In Jagannath Puri. Gambhira is a room in whose house? Kashi Mishra. Very good. So who is Kashi Mishra in Krishna Lila? No? Nanda Baba is Jagannath Mishra. Same last name. Kashi Mishra and Jagannath Mishra. I'll give a hint. In the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna promises someone that I will come to your house later. She wants Krishna to come to her house, but Krishna is feeling bashful in front of Balram. Huh? Yes, Kubja of Krishna Lila became Kashi Mishra in Gaur Lila. So see, Krishna is fulfilling the promise. Now Krishna is staying in the house of Kubja for 18 years. Is Gambhira pastimes. So he calls Kashi Mishra, who is the superintendent of Jagannath temple, and also calls Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya, who is a prominent Brahman in Jagannath Puri. Tina jana pashe prabhu hasiya kahila Guṇḍicā mandira Mārjan seva maginila. When these three people came before the Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu begged permission to wash the Guṇḍicā temple. See, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Lord, but he's begging permission. May I clean Guṇḍicā temple before the Rath Yatra? Is it okay? He's taking permission from the local leaders. So what a wonderful lesson. Padicha kahe ami sab seva tomar ye tomar ichha se kartavya amar. What did Kashi Mishra and Sarvabhaum Bhattacharya reply? They say, my dear Lord, request for washing Guṇḍicā temple is very wonderful. You are free to do whatever you want. In fact, we are your servants. Ami sabha sevaka tomar. We are all servants of you, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You do whatever you want, and whatever you desire is our will also. Vishesha Rajara Agya Hayache Amare Prabhura Agya Yese Shigra Karibare. Maharaj Prataprudra, who is a great devotee, he gave a special order that without delay, whatever Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants, provide him for cleaning the Guṇḍicā temple. Whatever is required, you provide him. Kintu ghata sammarjani bahuta chahiye. Agya deha aji sab iha ani diye. To wash the temple, Mahaprabhu, you will need many water pots. In those days, there was no power washing pipes and hose. No. You have to manually fill water with pots and clean. You will need water pots. Were there vacuum cleaners in those days? No. Brooms. You will need brooms and pots. And I will immediately provide you this. Kashi Mishra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said. And what did they do? Nutana eka shata ghata shata sammarjani padicha ani adila prabhur ichha jani. Knowing Mahaprabhu's desire, what did they do? Nutan. Nutan means what? Brand new, not used pots. Not some discarded pots that had holes. Many times, if someone wants to donate a car to the temple, they will give the car that they don't want. It has 300,000 miles on it. Everything is broken. Yes, I want to donate my car. Here is my car. Take it. Yeah. In India also, this is seen very commonly. And they will say, and they will write on the car, from such and such person, Supreme Bhet for this temple. But it is a discarded car. They don't want it. Instead of dumping it, they are donating it. But did Maharaj Prataprudra, Kashi Mishra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya do that? No. Freshly made pots. Nutan. Fresh pots. And how many pots did they give? 100 brand new pots for Mahaprabhu. And 100 brooms. Shata means 100. Nutana eka shata ghata shata sammarjani. Sammarjani is brooms and ghata is the pots they gave. Aradine prabhate laiya nijagan Shri haste sabara ange lepila chandan. Look at our Mahaprabhu, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Next day was the day before Rath Yatra. It was the day of Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. What did Mahaprabhu do? Sankirtan Pravartak Mahaprabhu, what did he do? He took all his associates, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramananda Rai, and everyone, Govinda, Kashishwar, and what did he do? He smeared sandalwood on their body to welcome them, to inspire them, encourage them, to honor them. Mahaprabhu, because it's going to be a lot of hard work. It's summer in India right now. Everybody knows that. It's very hot. So he puts cooling sandalwood paste on all the devotees. Oh Prabhu, Chitravirya Prabhu, you have come to do Guṇḍicā Mārjanam here. Mahaprabhu is putting nice chandan and offering you a garland. Mahaprabhu, personally to all the devotees, he offered garlands and chandan. Shri haste dila sabare eka marjani sabagana laya Prabhu chalila apani. So it's not that the devotees came to volunteer. Now we are asking for volunteers, right? For Rath Yatra and Panihati festival. So when volunteers came to help in Guṇḍicā Mārjanam, not that Mahaprabhu just gave them broom. Come on, get to work. No. Mahaprabhu is very loving. He first welcomed them. He embraced them, offered chandan to them, garlands to them. And then after that, he gave them broom. He gave one broom to each devotee with his own hands. And taking all of them personally, he went to Guṇḍicā temple. Guṇḍicā mandire gela karite marjana prathame marjani laya karila shodhana. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, along with his associates, he went to clean Guṇḍicā temple. And first, they cleaned the temple with the brooms. And Mahaprabhu is an ideal leader. In this pastime, we will see Mahaprabhu's leadership qualities. A leader leads by example. Not that Mahaprabhu was sitting on an asan there and said, hey, you do this. Hey, clean nicely. What are you doing? Wasting time. Come on, do, sweep. No. Mahaprabhu was the first one to take broom and he started cleaning. What does it teach us? Krishna consciousness is different from the material world. Krishna consciousness is different from the corporate world. In corporate world, you delegate. Hey, you do this. Hey, you do that. I remember when I joined a particular practice, I had this habit, whenever we order labs on patients, I had a habit of calling the patients with the result. And my boss told me, don't do that. I don't want you to call the patients with their labs. Only if the lab is very abnormal, you call them. But otherwise, don't communicate the results. I said, why? She says, we have other people to do it. And their pay rate is less than you. I don't want you wasting your time calling up patients. Hare Krishna. This is the corporate world. How to be efficient with money? Relationships are not so important. Hare Krishna. So you are here. I want to make you do maximum money that will generate revenue for the practice. There are other people who can call. You just see patients, more patients. Fatafat. 4 or 5 patients every hour. Generate revenue for the practice. Hare Krishna. Fortunately, I am not in that practice anymore. But spiritual life, Krishna consciousness is not like that, my dear friends. Here, service, seva is our wealth. So there is no need to delegate. Everybody happily serves. That is Krishna consciousness. Bhitara mandira upar sakala majila simhasana maji punha sthapana karila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleaned everything inside the temple very nicely, including the ceiling. So whatever cobwebs were there, dust was there, everywhere. Mahaprabhu not only cleaned the floor, which is obvious, but even the higher places. Mahaprabhu cleaned everything. Then he took the Simhasan. Simhasan is the place where Jagannath is going to sit. He took the Simhasan, he took it outside. He cleaned it nicely, thoroughly, and then again placed it in the original place. Which means when you lift up the Simhasan, whatever dust was there under the Simhasan, that is also clean. Look how thorough Mahaprabhu is. This teaches us that when we do seva, we should give attention to details. When we do puja, seva in our house, cleanliness is very important. Srila Prabhupada said, in deity worship, 2 things are very important. Cleanliness and punctuality. Srila Prabhupada said this. Deity worship, deity seva means punctuality and cleanliness. Punctuality means we have to follow the time. We should not keep Krishna waiting. Why so? Why is it so? Why can't we be late? Krishna is always late. Krishna is always late. Why we cannot be late? Our acharyas explain. This is very deep. Please listen carefully. Who are we? Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Das Dasan Das. We are the servants of the servants of the servants of Sri Rupa Manjari. Srila Rupa Goswami. Srila Prabhupada writes this in Nectar of Instruction beginning. This Krishna consciousness movement is conducted under the guidance of Sri Rupa Goswami. So we are Rupanuga Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Everybody has heard this term Rupanuga. We are Rupanugas. So we are all followers of Rupa Manjari. Who is Rupa Manjari? She is the personal kinkari, personal maid servant of Srimati Radharani under Lalita and Vishakha Satis. So we are Rupanugas. Krishna may be late, but is Radharani ever late in meeting Krishna? Never. Are Radharani's maid servants ever late in their service? Radha and Krishna are going to have Ras Leela, and Radha and Krishna arrive and the Manjaris are not there. Oh, where are the Manjaris? They are late. They are running late. Manjaris never run late. The maid servants of Radharani are there before time. They are very perfect in their service. So if we are Rupanugas, all the seva that we are doing, garland making, pot making, offering arti, cooking for Krishna, offering bhoga to Krishna, these are all confidential Manjari services. Please don't think this is some Vaidhi Bhakti, what Prabhupada has given us. Every act of devotion that we are doing, cleaning the temple hall, this is called Sohani Seva. Remember a few Sundays ago we discussed the pastime of Sri Shamananda Pandit. How did he get Radharani's anklets? While sweeping, Sohani Seva. So sweeping the temple, sweeping the altar after the arti, offering bhoga, cooking for Krishna, making garlands, dressing up Krishna, bathing Krishna and Radharani. These are all Manjari sevas. Srila Prabhupada has given us everything. We simply have to be aware of it. So we should understand. In service, if we are following Rupa Manjari, we are maid servants of Radharani, we cannot be late. Because they are never late. Never late. Krishna can be late. Krishna is independent. But we are never late. Therefore, Prabhupada said punctuality. And second quality is cleanliness. Cleanliness physically, We have to take a shower. We cannot go to the restroom and then come on the altar. If we go, then we have to take a shower again. We do Achaman to purify ourselves. Clothes have to be clean. We don't eat before going on the altar. We fast. That is external cleanliness. But internal cleanliness means to follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. And to make sure that we are chanting our 16 rounds attentively. Otherwise, we should not come on the altar. If we are not chanting our 16 rounds attentively, how can we get internal purification? Prabhupada said purity is the force. If someone is not chanting 16 rounds attentively, one should not come on the altar. I know devotees, if their service on the altar begins at 4 o'clock in the morning, they are going to offer the Mangalarti at 4:30. They wake up at 1 o'clock and they finish their 16 rounds and then they come for the altar. I know not 1, 2, or 3, many devotees. This is the standard. Not that today I'm doing service in the morning, so I will chant my rounds later. No, it has to be Brahma Murta Japa. 16 rounds have to be in the morning. So that is the standard. Punctuality and cleanliness. Chota bada mandir kaila Mārjanam shodhana pache taiche shodhila Shri Jagana Mohana. Thus Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his companions, they cleansed and swept all the temples, buildings, big, small areas, rooms, everything. And they cleaned the area between the temple and the Kirtan hall also. So they cleaned everything, not just the altar, but the whole temple was cleansed by Mahaprabhu. There were 100 volunteers. Chari dike shatabhakta sammarjani kare apani shodhena prabhu shikhana sabare. Indeed, 100 devotees were engaged. Prabhupada says hundreds of devotees were engaged in cleansing all around the temple. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally carrying out the operation just to instruct others. A leader leads by example. Acharya means one who teaches by his personal example. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is our Sampradaya Acharya. This is Gaudiya Sampradaya, Mahaprabhu Sampradaya. Premollase shodhena layena Krishna nam bhaktagana Krishna kahe kare nijakam. Very important verse. Please listen carefully. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleansed the temple in great jubilation. How should we do our service? Should we perform our service as if it's a burden with moroseness? I have to do this service. Nobody else is doing. Only I have to do. No. Mahaprabhu is teaching us ulhas. With great joy we should do. To get service is a great honor and privilege. How many of you would like to participate in Mahaprabhu's cleansing of Guṇḍicā temple? With Mahaprabhu, you are cleansing the temple. What amazing meditation. What amazing fortune. So these devotees have got the fortune. 100 fortunate devotees. And Mahaprabhu himself is doing it. Now look at this. Premollase shodhena layena Krishna nam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is doing it in great jubilation, and while doing the service, Mahaprabhu is not talking about politics, the latest news, the latest pandemic, epidemic. So what's going on? What's the news? Hey, you have come from Bengal. What's the news? No. During service, Mahaprabhu is saying only chanting Krishna. Clearly said. Bhaktagana Krishna kahe kare nija kaam. You do your work, and with your tongue, with your mouth, just say Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. दुनिया के काम करते रहो, मुख से हरि नाम बोलते रहो. With your hands, you keep doing your work. But with your tongue, you keep vibrating Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Dhuli dhusar tanu dekhite shobhana, kaha kaha ashru jale kare sammarjana. The entire beautiful body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was covered with dust and dirt. This is going to happen. When you do service, you are going to get dirty. That's part of the seva. At times when cleansing the temple, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu shed tears, and in some places he even cleaned with those tears. Even cleaned with those. So there was no need for pots for Mahaprabhu. His tears, pranay ashru. Pranay means love, ashru means tears. The tears of love were flowing so profusely from the 2 lotus eyes, Kamala Nayan of Mahaprabhu, that there was no need for water and pots. Tears were flowing, and Mahaprabhu was using his uttariya, his cloth, and mopping the floor of Guṇḍicā temple. What emotions Mahaprabhu is experiencing? Mahaprabhu is in the mood of Radharani, who is in separation from Krishna. Jagannath is not giving darshan for 15 days. And now Jagannath tomorrow is going to give darshan and he's going to come here in Vrindavan. How blissful Mahaprabhu must be in his Radha Bhava. Radha Bhava vidusvalitam naumi Krishna swarupam. Bhoga mandir shodhana kari shodhila prangana sakala avasakrame karila shodhana. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he cleaned the area where the bhoga was going to be kept. It's called Bhoga Mandir, where for Jagannath all the bhoga will be stored. He cleaned that room also. He cleaned that room, and then Prangan, he cleaned the yard, the courtyard of Guṇḍicā temple. Everything was cleaned, one after the other. Nothing was left. And also the residential quarters. Avas means residential quarters. Wherever the servants will stay, their residential quarters are also cleaned. Not that the servants will clean their own quarters. Mahaprabhu is cleaning Jagannath's temple and he's cleaning the servant quarters also. Just see how Mahaprabhu is so meticulous. He's teaching us how service should be. Trina dhuli jhinkura saba ekatra kariya bahirva se laya felaye bahira kariya. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu collected all the straw, dust, grains of sand in one place. And he gathered it all with his own cloth and threw it outside. So we have that thing, right? The plastic thing to collect all the dust and we throw. Mahaprabhu did not have that. So Mahaprabhu used his own upper cloth, his chadar, to pick up all the collected straw, dust particles, pebbles, and threw them out. Mahaprabhu. Ei mata bhaktagana kari nijavase trinadhuli bahire phelaye param harishe. So when the devotees saw that Mahaprabhu is using his own cloth, he's sweeping, he's collecting all the dust in a pile, and then he's picking up all that pile, putting it in his cloth and throwing it outside. What did the devotees do? They followed suit. They followed example. Yadyad acharati shreshtas tatta devete rojata. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartate. The example that the great soul set, common men follow. So they are following the example of Mahaprabhu. They also, Eimata bhaktagana kari nijavasi. They took their own cloth and they started doing it. Prabhu kahe ekata kari yacha sammarjan trinadhuli dekhiye janibe parishram. Now Mahaprabhu is going to create a transcendental competition among the devotees. Did Prabhupada do that? Did Prabhupada create competition among devotees? Everywhere. Everywhere. Tripurari Maharaj and Tamal Krishna Goswami. Transcendental competition in book distribution. Prabhupada has always instigated them. Oh, Tamal, do you know how much Tripurari Maharaj has distributed? And he would tell Tripurari Maharaj, Tripurari Maharaj, do you know how much Tamal Krishna Goswami has distributed books? Can you beat them? And then he would compete with all of them. He would say, I am already doing the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, but this BBT, they are only still printing the 4th canto. They are lagging way behind. Come on, keep pace with me. Every day Prabhupada would produce 2-3 cassettes of recordings of the translations. So Prabhupada created competition. Now see what Mahaprabhu is saying. Listen carefully. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told the devotees, I can tell how much you have labored and how well you have cleaned the Guṇḍicā temple simply by seeing the piles of straw and dust you have collected outside. So everybody was collecting their own pile of dust and keeping it outside, right? So Mahaprabhu said, everybody keep in separate piles. And how much you are laboring, how well you are cleaning, I will come to know by the size of your pile of dust and straw. Savara Jhantaya bhojha ekatra karila sabha haite prabhur bhojha adhik haila. Even though all the devotees collected dirt in one pile, the dirt collected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was much greater. So Mahaprabhu as the Acharya is teaching us that the leader should be the best servant. A guru is the best disciple. Who can become guru? One who is the ideal disciple. So Mahaprabhu is teaching us that he is the best servant as the Acharya. He is collecting most dust. Eimata abhyantara karila Mārjanam punar sabakare dila kariya vantana. After the inside of the temple was cleansed, then Mahaprabhu allotted areas for devotees to clean outside. Mahaprabhu, he allotted, he told, you clean this, you clean that, you clean that. And Mahaprabhu himself was cleaning. Sukshma dhuli trina kankar sabakaraha dur bhalamate shodhan karaha prabhura antapur. Very important. Now listen carefully. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered everyone to clean the inside of the temple very perfectly by taking Sukshma dhuli. the finer pieces of dust, straw, and grains of sand and throwing them outside. Guṇḍicā Mārjanam also represents the sadhak, all of us cleaning our own heart. Do we have any dirt and dust in our heart? Yes. What is it called? What are the names? Anarthas. Can you name some anarthas? Yes. Lust, anger, greed. Kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhav. Trividham narkashedam dwaram nashanam atmanam. Kama krodha tatha lobhas tasmad etat trayam tyaje. We should give up these anarthas, especially lust, anger, and greed. Envy, pride, and false ego are other anarthas that we have. Everyone has these 6 enemies within. It is considered to be a very dangerous condition when you are living with the enemy. Of all the dangerous people in warfare, the most dangerous are the spies. They are living like honorable citizens, but actually they are spies of the enemy. My dear friends, Srila Prabhupada is warning us. We are all living with the enemy. 6 enemies. Lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and false ego. We have to identify these enemies. The best way to tackle a spy is to identify the spy. If the spy is detected, then the war is won. So we have to understand. So we may give up bad habits like meat eating, intoxication, gambling. We may give up these bad habits, but then the subtle bad habits remain. What are the subtle bad habits? Some greed, some lust, some anger. We may not become angry in the office, but we may get angry at our spouse. We may throw a tantrum at home. Outside, when devotees are there, nice tilak kanti sitting. Is my garland symmetrical? Am I looking nice? Okay. We put our best foot forward when we are in front of devotees. But what happens when we get inside the car? On our way home? What happens when we go home? That is the real we. That is the sukshma dhuli, the subtle anarthas that are there. The desire for pratishtha. After the lecture, everyone should come to me and tell me, "Oh, Prabhuji, kya lecture tha? What a nice lecture you gave." Desire for appreciation and pratishtha. These are subtle bad qualities, anarthas. So we have to clean them. We have to get rid of them. Mahaprabhu is saying, Cheto Darpana Mārjanam. Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. So what is Guṇḍicā? Our Chetana. Our consciousness is Guṇḍicā. Anyera Hridoy Mana Mora Mana Vrindavan. Guṇḍicā is Vrindavan. Our mind is Vrindavan. So we have to clean it. Sabha Vaishnava jabe dui bar shodhila dekhi Mahaprabhur mane santosha haila. After Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the Vaishnavas cleaned the temple 2 times. 2 times. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy to see the cleaning work. Even before surgeries, we are told to wash, scrub thoroughly 2 times with soap and water. Not once, 2 times. Arashata janashata ghate jala bhari prathame laya ache kala apeksha kari. While the temple was being swept, about 100 men stood ready with filled water pots, and they simply waited for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to give the order. Mahaprabhu, like the general of the cleaning party, he gave order. And then let's see what happens. Jalahana boli jabe Mahaprabhu kahila tabe shata ghata ani Prabhu aage dila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the indication, now the sweeping is done. We have cleaned the gross dirt particles. We have cleaned the finer dust particles inside the temple, outside the temple, in the courtyard, all the rooms. Everything is now swept clean. Are we done? No. Now the time is to wash everything nicely with water, so that even finer dust particles will be removed. As soon as Mahaprabhu gave the indication, he called for water. All the 100 water pots filled with water were placed in front of Mahaprabhu. See, this is a good servant. We are all servants. Das, das, anudas. We were singing. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhur Dasera Anudasa Seva Abhilasha Kore Narottama Dasa. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhur Dasera Anudas Seva Abhilasha Kore Ei Adhama Das. That is our desire, that we want to become servant of the servant. Who is a good servant? A good servant is that who not only does what is told, but also anticipates what more can be done. Who is the example of the best servant? Ramayana? Hanumanji. What did Lord Ramchandra tell Hanumanji to do? What was the mission? Go and find Sita. What did Hanumanji do? And he found Sita. He gave the message to Sita Devi. He killed so many asuras to make the war later on easier. He gave he instilled fear in the heart of Ravan by burning half the Lanka. Did Lord Ram ask him to do all this? But Hanumanji is first class servant. So a third class servant is one, you give him some work, it will not be done. It will not be done. He'll get distracted. He will not do. Guru Maharaj says, chant 16 rounds, follow 4 regulative principles. But a third class disciple will not do that. Second class disciple, whatever you tell, whatever the master says, that much will be done, but nothing more. Nothing more. Guru Maharaj says, chant 16 rounds, bas. As soon as 16 rounds are over, done. Not a round more, not a round less. Minimum wage. They keep the Guru on minimum wage. Nothing more, no bonus. That is second class devotee. But at least they do what they have promised. What is told, they will do that. So that is glorious. But that is not first class. What is first class? To do more than what is told. To anticipate. So Mahaprabhu is cleaning. But what are the devotees of Mahaprabhu? They are ready with the water pots. Mahaprabhu didn't have to tell them, go and fill the water pot and come and stand here. No, they are ready. They can anticipate Mahaprabhu. That is first class. Then, Prathame karila Prabhu mandira prakshalan urdhva adho bhiti griha madhya simhasan. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first washed with water the main temple, then thoroughly washed the ceilings, the walls, the floor, the sitting place, simhasan, and everything else within the room. Mahaprabhu personally washed with the devotees. Khapara bhariya jala urdhve chalaila. Sei jale urdhva shodhi bhiti prakshalila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself and his devotees began to throw water onto the ceiling. When this water fell, it washed the walls and the floor. So they started from the top down. Because you clean the floor and then you start cleaning the ceiling, all the dirt will come. So see, common sense also is required in service. Common sense planning is also required. Practical things. So Mahaprabhu starts from the top. First clean the ceiling, walls, then the floor. Perfect. Then, Shri Haste Kare na Simhasanera Mārjanam Prabhu Āge Jalhani Deya Bhakta Gana. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great love personally began to wash the Simhasan of Jagannath. My Jagannath is going to sit here. Mahaprabhu. He did it personally. And all the devotees began to bring water for the Lord. They were not doing it. Let Mahaprabhu do it. This is very intimate. So they were just passing on the water to Mahaprabhu. Bhakta Gana Kare Griha Madhya Prakshalan. Nija nija haste kare mandira marjan. All the devotees in the temple began to wash. Following the clue of Mahaprabhu, they also started washing. Each one had a broom in his hand, and in this way they cleaned the temple of the Lord. Keha jala ani deya Mahaprabhu kare, keha jala deya tara charana upare. Now some devotees are going to do something very naughty, especially one devotee, very naughty. Keha jala ani deya Mahaprabhu kare. Someone brought water to pour into the hands of Mahaprabhu, because Mahaprabhu with his hands was cleaning the Simhasan of Jagannath. So they were pouring water in the hand. What did one Gaudiya do? Gaudiya Vaishnava do? Poured water on Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Instead of Mahaprabhu's lotus hand, he poured on Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. He didn't stop there. Keha lukaya kare se jala pan, keha magilaya keha anya kare dan. The water that fell from the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was drunk by someone who hid himself. Someone else begged for that water. Give me some water. And another person was giving that water in charity. Okay, take. This is what the devotees were doing. Devotees are very naughty. It's not just in ISKCON. It's always been like that. Devotees always want Charanamrita, they want dust, they want remnants. Bhakta pada dhuliyar, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesheti namabal. Ghara dhui, prana likhaye, jala chhadi dila, sei jale prangan sab bharirya rahila. After the room was washed, the water was let out through an outlet. So the whole floor was filled with water now. Ceiling, walls, floor, everything was washed with water. And then there were outlets at dependent areas at the edge of the room. The outlets were opened, so all the water, it flowed out and it filled the yard outside. Nija vastre kaila prabhu griha sammarjan, Mahaprabhu nija vastre majila simhasan. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started mopping the room with his own cloth, with his own uttariya, his own chadar. Mahaprabhu only wear 3 pieces of cloth. The kopin, then a cloth to wrap around his lower body, and a uttariya, a chadar. Only 3 pieces of cloth. So Mahaprabhu took his uttariya and started mopping the floor. Specifically, he polished the throne with his own cloth. He polished the throne. Shata ghata jale kaila mandira marjan, mandira shodhiya kaila jena nijaman. In this way, all the rooms were cleaned with 100 water pots. After the rooms had been cleaned, the minds of the devotees became as clean as the rooms. Kaviraj Goswami is saying, Shata ghata jale kaila mandir marjana, mandira shodhiya kaila jena nijamana. Even their minds became clean. Once some devotees after Sunday feast, they were sitting and washing pots. And Srila Prabhupada, I think it was LA temple. Srila Prabhupada was walking through the, after giving the class, he was walking through the kitchen, inspecting. And Prabhupada pointed with the cane to a devotee who was cleaning the water pots. Prabhupada said, very good, clean nicely. You are not cleaning the pot, you are cleaning your own heart. When we do seva, our heart also becomes purified. Whatever seva it is, we should do it nicely. It purifies. Shata shata jana jala bhare sarovare ghate sthana nahi keha kupe jala bhare. When the temple was cleaned, it was purified, cool and pleasing, just as if the Lord's own pure mind had appeared. So nirmala shitala snigdha karila mandire apana hridayena dharila bahire. The temple became very cool, very clean, dust free, and very welcoming. The temple and the devotees' minds also became very purified. Since hundreds of men were engaged in bringing water, shata shata jana jala, they brought water, hundreds of devotees from the lake. Which lake is it? Huh? I think it is Indradumna Sarovar. We'll see, we'll find out, it will come ahead. Indradumna Sarovar? There, maybe, we'll see. Since hundreds of men were engaged in bringing water from the lake, there was no place to stand on the banks of the lake. The bank was filled. Consequently, someone began to draw water from a well. So they are getting in more resources now. They are getting water from the well also. Purna kumbha laya aise shata bhaktagan shunya ghata laya jaye ara shatajan. Hundreds of devotees brought water in the pots and hundreds took the empty pots away to fill them up again. See, the whole chain, supply chain is going on. Devotees are working. Nityananda Advaita Swarupa Bharati Puri Iha Vinu Arasaba Ane Jala Bhari. With the exception of Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Swarup Damodar Goswami, Brahmananda Bharati and Paramananda Puri, everyone was engaged in filling water pots and bringing them there. So these devotees were with Mahaprabhu. Others were bringing filled pots and taking empty pots. Ghate ghate theki kata ghata bhangi gela shata shata ghata loka tahalaya aila. Many of the water pots were broken when people collided with one another, and hundreds of men had to bring new water pots to fill. So accidents also happen. It's okay. We should not get upset. Some pots broke. Some water pots broke. In the collided, and in the service, some things happen. So what did people do? They went and got new water pots. They got more water pots. Jala bhare ghara dhoya kare hari dhvani Krishna hari dhvani vina arana hi shuni. This is very important verse. So please pay attention. Jala bhare ghara dhoya kare hari dhvani Krishna hari dhvani vina arana hi shuni. Some people are filling the water pots. Others were washing the rooms. So 3 things are going on. Devotees are bringing filled water pots. Devotees were washing and cleaning, and devotees were taking the water pots back to the lake and well to refill it. But what was, so different services, right? Someone is bringing, someone is taking empty pots, someone is washing, someone is filling at the sarovar. Different services, but one thing was common. Krishna Hari Dhvani Vina Arana Hishuni. But all the devotees are chanting Hari Hari. Kare Hari Dhvani, and Krishna Hari Dhvani vina ara nahi shuni. Other than Hari Hari, other than Hare Krishna, nothing else could be heard. All the devotees, while doing their different services, they were chanting the holy names of God. This is very wonderful. Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghatera prarthana, Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghata samarpana. One person begged for a water pot by chanting. So if they wanted to ask something, that Gaurashan, give me that pot. So instead of saying Gaurashan, give me that pot, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. If I want to give the pot to Gopinath Prabhu, instead of saying Gopinath Prabhu, take this pot, I will say Krishna, 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 and you will say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghatera prarthana, Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghata samarpana. So to ask also Krishna Krishna, only one language, Krishna Krishna, and to give also Krishna Krishna, take also Krishna Krishna. Jai Jai kahe se kahe Krishna name, Krishna nama haila sanketa sab kame. Whenever anyone had to speak, he did so by uttering the holy name of Krishna. Consequently, the holy name of Krishna became an indication for everyone who wanted something. Premaveshe Prabhu kahe Krishna Krishna naam, ekale premaveshe kare shata janer kam. Aha. Mahaprabhu, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was vibrating Krishna, Krishna, holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love, he himself was performing the work of hundreds of men. Mahaprabhu. Shata haste karena yena, kshalana marjana, pratijana pase jai, karana shikshana. It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cleaning and washing with 100 hands. 100, such enthusiasm. Mahaprabhu was as if he was doing with 100 hands. And he approached every devotee just to teach him how to work. So if someone was not doing properly, Mahaprabhu would go and show him, hey, do like this, do like this. Personally teaching. Bhala karma dekhi tare kare prashamsana, mane na milele kare pavitra bhatsana. Aha. When he saw someone doing nicely, if someone is doing nicely, Mahaprabhu would praise, prashamsa. He would appreciate. Very nice, very nice. He would encourage. And if someone was not working to Mahaprabhu's satisfaction, he immediately chastised that person, but not bearing any grudge. Not bearing any grudge. Pavitra bharsana. Bharsana means to chastise. Pavitra bharsana means chastising, but with a pure mind, without any envy or any hatred or any ill feelings. Just to improve the service. He would give positive, constructive feedback. Tumi bhala kariyacha shikhaila anyere, ei mata bhala karma sehoje na kare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would say, you have done very well, you have done very well. Please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way. You see? So this is parampara. You become good and then you teach it to others. Bharat bhumite hoila manushya janmajar, janmasartha karikara para upakar, chare dekho tare kaho Krishna upadesh, amaragya guru haya tara ei desh. First you make yourself pure and then you preach to others. Don't preach what you are not practicing. Do not preach what you are not practicing, Mahaprabhu is saying. You practice in your life and then you share it. Share the nectar with others. That's very nice. So Mahaprabhu is saying, those who have done well, he appreciates. You have done very well. Now teach this to others. Teach this to others. Ei katha shuniya sabe sankuchita haya, bhalamate karma kare sabe mana diya. As soon as they heard that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was saying this, everyone became ashamed. Thus the devotees began to work with great attention. So those who were not working with attention, those who are not paying attention to detail, when they heard Mahaprabhu chastising, and when they saw Mahaprabhu becoming happy when devotees were doing service nicely, they all became very careful, very cautious. Oh, we have to do it nicely. They became diligent in their work to please Mahaprabhu. Tabe prakshalana kaila Shri Jagan Mohan, Bhoga Mandiradi tabe kaila prakshalan. Then they washed the Jagan Mohan area and then the place where the food is kept, they washed everything. All the places were washed. Natashala Dhui Dhulia Chatvara Prangana Prakshala Ādi Karila Prakshalona. In this way, the meeting place was washed, the entire front yard, backyard was washed, all the raised, elevated places were washed, the kitchen was washed, and every room, the servant quarters, they were also washed. Mandirera Chaturdik Prakshalana Kaila Saba Antapura Bhala Mate Dholaila. All the places around the temple were also thoroughly cleaned and washed, within and without. Hena Kale Gaudiya Eka Subuddhi Sarala Prabhura Charana Yuge Dila Ghata Jala. Now see what happens. After everything was thoroughly washed, a Vaishnava from Bengal. Is there any Vaishnava from Bengal? Here, Gaudiya Vaishnava. Gaudiya Vaishnava. Here it said, Hena Kale Gaudiya Eka Subuddhi Sarala. He was very intelligent, he was very simple. He came and he poured water on the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu again. Again he came and poured water on Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Sei jalalaya apane paina kaila taha dekhi prabhur mane dukharosha haila. The Gaudiya Vaishnava then took that water from Mahaprabhu's lotus feet and drank it. Charanamrita. Seeing that, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt very unhappy and outwardly he became angry. Rosh became angry. What is this? Everybody is watching. Hundreds of devotees are watching. You are coming, instead of serving Jagannath, you are washing my feet and drinking that water. This sets a very bad example. Yadyapi Gosai Tare Hayache Santosh Dharma Samsthapana Lagi Bahir Maharosh. You understand? So sweet. Although Mahaprabhu internally was very happy that this is the sign of a devotee. A devotee always wants to drink Charanamrita of Acharya, Guru's Charanamrita. But externally, because everybody was watching, Mahaprabhu made a show of anger. Now see what he does. Shiksha lagi swarupe daki kahila tahare ei dekha tomar gaudiya ravyavhare. Mahaprabhu called for Swarup Damodar Goswami. Swarup Damodar, come here. Look at the behavior of your Gaudiya. What is the lesson for all of us? We are also serving Mahaprabhu. And whose followers are we? We are Prabhupada Nugas. We are followers of Srila Prabhupada. If we misbehave, if we do something wrong, what will Mahaprabhu do? Srila Prabhupada, see what your Gaudiya Vaishnavas are doing. Shukla Vastra Machi Bindu Aichena Lukaye Sannyasi Ra Alpachidra Sarva Loka Gaye. When Mahaprabhu is requested by Ramananda Rai to meet Maharaj Pratap Rudra, Mahaprabhu says no. Yadyapi Pratap Rudra Sarva Gunavan Tahara Malina Kaila Eka Rajana. Although Maharaj Pratap Rudra is Sarva Gunavan, he is the abode of all good qualities, but he has the title King, King Pratap Rudra. And therefore, as a renunciant, as a sannyasi, I cannot meet him because he is a king and I am a renunciate. If I meet with the king, people will think that I am meeting with the king to get favors from him. The king is sending nice food for me, nice comforts, nice massage oil. People will misunderstand. Therefore, I cannot. Mahaprabhu says at that time, very important Siddhanta. Mahaprabhu says, Shukla Vastra. Shukla Vastra means white cloth. Machi Bindu, if there's a black dot on a white cloth, Aichena Luka, you cannot hide it. It becomes clearly visible. On a white cloth, a black blot becomes very easily visible. Similarly, Sannyasi Ra Alpachidra Sarva Loka Gaye. If there is one small fault in a sannyasi or the followers of sannyasi, everybody will talk about it. Everybody will gossip, criticize, and speak about it. So we have to be very careful. Our behavior should be exemplary if we call ourselves Srila Prabhupada's followers. Otherwise, what will happen? We will bring ill reputation to Srila Prabhupada. And Mahaprabhu will call Prabhupada and say, Prabhupada, look at your Gaudiyas. Look at your Gaudiyas. So Mahaprabhu is saying, Shiksha lagi swarupe daki kahila tahare ei dekha tomar Gaudiya ravyavhare. Lord called for Swarup Damodar and told him, just see the behavior of your Gaudiya Vaishnava. Ishwara mandire mora pada dhoyaila seijala apanilaya pana kaila. This Gaudiya in Ishwar Mandir, in Jagannath's temple, he is washing my feet and drinking that water. You need to train your Gaudiya Vaishnavas properly. They should not behave like this. Mahaprabhu is chastising. Ei aparadhe mora kaha habe gati tomara Gaudiya kare eteka bhaijati. I now do not know what will happen to me because he washed my feet in Jagannath's temple and drank that water. It is my aparadh that I allowed him to do this. Now what will happen to me? Indeed, your Bengali Vaishnava has implicated me in this aparadh. Hare Krishna. Just see. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport something very beautiful. It's a long purport, but supremely sweet and beautiful. But let's read at least few lines. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It is significant that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar Goswami that the Bengali Vaishnava was your Gaudiya. Your Gaudiya Vaishnava. This means that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are subordinate to Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. The Parampara system is very strictly observed by Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal secretary was Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami. The next group of devotees was the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. Who was the immediate servant of Swarup Damodar Goswami? Yes. What was he called? Swarupera Raghu. Yeah, Swarupera Raghu. So Swarup Damodar Goswami is personal servant of Mahaprabhu, secretary. Swarup Damodar Goswami's personal servant is Raghunath Das Goswami. And Prabhupada says after that comes Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. That is our parampara. We are all Gaudiyas. So we have to follow standards. Is that okay? Hari Hari. Chittavira, just tell me when to stop. 5 minutes? तबे स्वरूप गोसाई तारा घाड़े हाथ दिया देखा मारी पूरी र बाहिर राखिले न लैया. Now there is little bit violence in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is a very peaceful scripture. I have found only few instances of violence. One is Srivas Thakur slapping Harichandan in Rath Yatra. You know that story? Harichandan, he is the Prime Minister of Maharaj Prataparudra. And Mahaprabhu is dancing. And Harichandan is standing outside trying to see Mahaprabhu's dance. And in front of Harichandan is our Srivas Thakur from Navadvip. And he is watching Mahaprabhu's dance in ecstasy. And Harichandan taps on the shoulder of Srivas Thakur. Move, move. Because of you, I cannot see. You are too tall. Move. I cannot see. I want to see Mahaprabhu dance. But Srivas Thakur was completely absorbed in watching the dance of Mahaprabhu. He paid no heed to this tapping on his shoulder. He was absorbed. But then Harichandan kept on slapping Srivas. Srivas, move, move, move. I want to see Mahaprabhu. Move. I want to see Mahaprabhu. Srivas Thakur got so disturbed. He is Narad Muni. Srivas Thakur. He got so disturbed, he turned around and slapped Harichandan. Harichandan is the Prime Minister in Rath Yatra on the street in front of all the citizens. The Prime Minister is slapped by a Gaudiya. But other than that, there are hardly any instances of any violence. But here, at this point, Swarup Damodar Goswami caught the Gaudiya Vaishnava by the neck and giving him a little push, ejected him from Guṇḍicā temple and made him stay outside, stand outside. You have misbehaved. Puna asi prabhu paya karila vinay adnya aparadha kshama karite jujay. After Swarup Damodar Goswami returned within the temple, he begged forgiveness from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Adnya aparadha. He's ignorant fool. Forgive him, Mahaprabhu. Please forgive him. Excuse him. Innocent person. Tabe Mahaprabhur mane santosha haila. Sari kari dui pashe sabare vasaila. After this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied because internally he was happy with that Gaudiya. But Mahaprabhu had to set an example. He had to set an example. So he chastised. But then he was very satisfied. And then he asked all the devotees to sit down in 2 lines on both sides, including that devotee, Gaudiya. All of you come, make 2 rows. Apane vasiya maje apana rahate trinakankara kuta lagila kudaite. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sat down in the middle and picked up all kinds of straw, grains of sand and dirty things. Ke kata kudaye sab ekatra kariba jara alpa tara thai pitha paya laiba. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was picking up the straw and grains of sand, he said, I shall gather everyone's collection and I shall ask whoever has collected less than all the others to pay a fine. So whoever has collected more is the winner and whoever has collected less dust is the loser and they have to pay a fine. And what is the fine? Cake and sweet rice. You have to give cake and sweet rice to the winning devotees who have collected more. And don't worry, they don't have to make the cake and sweet rice. Our Vaninath Rai is going to bring it from the temple. Everything is Jagannath Prasad. In this way, all the quarters of the Guṇḍicā temple were completely cleansed and cleared. All the quarters were cool and spotless, like one's purified mind. Pranalika chhadi jadi pani vahaila nutana nadiyene samudre milila. When the water from different rooms was finally let out through the halls, it appeared as if new rivers were rushing out to meet the water of the ocean. Nice example. ei mata puradwar age patha jata sakala shodhilataha evarni bekata. Outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads are also clean. And no one could tell exactly how this was done. So not only the temple, even the road outside was cleaned by Mahaprabhu. Then Mahaprabhu cleaned the Narsimha temple. Narsimha mandira bhitar bahira shodila shaneka vishrama kari nritya arambhila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then cleaned the Narsimha temple from inside and out. And finally he took rest for some few minutes and then began Harinam Sankirtan dancing. So Sri Chaitanya took some rest. So devotees, when they are doing service, they also need some rest. Mahaprabhu gave everyone some rest, and then immediately there was Harinam Sankirtan, Prem Nam Sankirtan and dancing. Charidi ke bhakta gana kare na kirtana, madhe nritya kare prabhu matta simha sama. All the devotees, they gathered around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The cleaning is done. Now it is time for prasad and sankirtan. They are going to do sankirtan and then they will have nice prasad. So sankirtan, Mahaprabhu is standing in the middle and dancing like a maddened lion. And all the devotees are standing around him in a circle. And they are also singing and doing kirtan. And then this is very wonderful description will continue of the Harinam Sankirtan. But we will stop here because it is time. So in this way, my dear friends, we discuss Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. The wonderful pastime of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleaning Guṇḍicā temple, which is Vrindavan, to prepare Vrindavan for the arrival of Jagannath, who is Krishna. To bring Krishna from Dwarka back to Vrindavan. That is the mood. And Guṇḍicā Mārjanam takes place just one day before Rath Yatra. Rath Yatra is on Saturday. And important lessons we learned. Now let us quickly go around. Raise your hand and one by one tell me, from this pastime, what practical lessons did we learn? As sadhaks, as practicing devotees. Something that we learned from this pastime of Guṇḍicā Mārjanam. Jai Kumar Prabhu. Yes, all the devotees, they were cleaning not whimsically. I want to clean like that. No, they were asking Mahaprabhu. The way Mahaprabhu was ordering them, that they were cleaning. So therefore, we have to be under the guidance in Krishna consciousness and we have to follow our authorities. Very nice. Anyone else? What lessons did we learn? Yes, Gaurachand. Huh? Yes, cleanliness, timeliness, and attention to detail. Love is in the details. Love is in the details. Details are important. Very good. Yes. What else? No other lesson? Yes. Sadananda Ramchandra Prabhu. Try to be a first-class disciple. Do what is told and see if you can do more. See if you can do more. Very nice. Any other lessons we learned today? Oh, yes. Who? Yes, yes. Please. Hare Krishna. Excellent, excellent. A true leader is the best servant himself, best follower. Yes. Lead by example. Don't teach what you don't. Exactly. You have to walk your talk. Don't preach what you're not practicing. Very nice, very nice. You have to lead by example. Anything else we learned? Yes, Amrit Gaurangi Mataji. Do enthusiastic service. Yes, very nice. We should do our service with enthusiasm, not with moroseness. Yes, Prabhu. Yes. Very important. The whole Guṇḍicā Mārjanam represents Cheto Darpana Mārjanam, cleaning our heart of the anarthas, lust, anger, greed, etc. And the anarthas can be subtle also. And we saw how Srila Prabhupada gave us 4 regulative principles. What are they? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. So this is on a very gross level. So now devotees may say, meat eating, I gave that up years ago. In years, I have not eaten meat. What is the big deal about it? Well, no meat eating is on a gross level, but we have to think on a sukshma level. Like Mahaprabhu said, dhuli and sukshma dhuli. First they swept the dhuli and then with water they were removing the sukshma dhuli, the fine dust. So no meat eating is on a gross level, but on a subtle level, no meat eating means don't hurt other devotees. Don't break the hearts of others. Be kind. Because no meat eating means no violence. But if our speech, our behavior is causing violence to others, we are hurting others, we are eating meat. on a subtle level. No intoxication means what? Don't drink alcohol. Don't do drugs. Yes, that is on a gross level. But what does intoxication destroy? Intoxication destroys our austerity. So if we are not drinking alcohol, but we are overeating, too many rasgullas, too much sweet rice, then that is also not good. Srila Rupa Goswami says, Atyahara prayashascha prajalpo niyamagraha janasangascha laulyamcha shadbir bhakti vinashyati. These three things destroy. First is atyahara. Then there is no gambling. What is the meaning of no gambling? Don't go to casinos. If you go to Las Vegas, go there for preaching. There's a temple there. But don't go to casinos. Don't gamble. That is on a gross level. Yes, we must follow. But what on a subtle level? What does gambling do? Gambling destroys our truthfulness. To earn money by honest means. So if we are not gambling in the casino, but we are telling lies in our dealings, we are being untruthful, we are being duplicitous, deceitful, that means we are gambling. We are being untruthful. So the four regulative principles can be on a gross level, but they should also be followed on a subtle level. Illicit sex. What does illicit sex do? Illicit sex means to remain faithful within marriage. What does illicit sex destroy? It destroys our cleanliness. It destroys externally. Yes, there is syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, HIV, all those things are there. But internally it pollutes the heart. So we may not be on a gross level having illicit sex, but if we are internally very proud, we want pratishtha, we want everyone to respect us, we feel we are the best devotee, we feel everyone should honor and respect us. That's internal contamination. If we have envy towards others, that's an internal contamination. You see? So these regulative principles have to be followed not just on a gross level, but also on a subtle level. And that is what Guṇḍicā Mārjanam is teaching us. We have to try our best to become pure. And how can we become pure? By following what Srila Prabhupada has given us. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and serve the devotees. Don't criticize anyone. Just be with the devotees, make friendship with devotees and serve with a spirit of cooperation. And just chant Hare Krishna. Keep doing your service and keep chanting. Not 16 rounds, please. That is bare minimum. What does Mahaprabhu say? I will know how sincerely you are working by how big your pile is. So is it 16 rounds? Is it 20 rounds? Is it 32 rounds? Chant maximum. There is no limit. Srila Prabhupada says you should always chant. Kirtaniya sada hari, sadatam kirtayanto ma. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.